Alright, little one. Love you bunches. I gotta get going. Be good. Give Jimmy extra hugs for me. Alrighty. Just got done dropping off my little girl. She got a helmet and she's super psyched and got to ride in Felton downtown, a little small, a couple of block long kind of town, and just absolutely loves it. And now she wants to go ride to school every day, which school's all of, I don't know, a mile up from the house up here in Bayou Dune. So I placate her and let her come up and join me. It's fine. But it does bring up a good topic piece, which is should kids be on the back of bikes? And I want to first dispel or kind of set a tone for the conversation, because let's get around the already clear topic point, being that motorcycles are inherently more dangerous than cars, and they are. They don't have the protection, the wraparound cage, the airbags, and everything else. So yes, there is an inherent danger to motorcycles. That's not my conversation here. The conversation is as a parent, do I decide, or is it okay for my kids to be on the back of my bike? Well, obviously you saw my kids on the back of my bike, so you know the spoiler alert here is, yeah, I'm okay with it. But there's a lot more to it than that, and it's a good bit of something to think about here, because when it comes to the aspect of safety, some vehicles are more safe than others. I mean, if you want to get technical, you're probably safer in a semi than you are a car, and you're definitely more safe in a plane by statistical value than you are a car. So you should always just take a flight everywhere or drive a semi, right? No. Anyways, I digress. So for the aspect of kids, well, I want to say too right at the top of this is there is no right or wrong answer. It is parental discretion on how they treat their kids and what they let their kids do. And I'm not going to pretend to think that I am the proper parent or that I have all the right answers. I have 4 kids, and I've learned a lot raising these 4 kids. But I don't feel that in any way, shape, or form makes me the foremost expert or even necessarily a knowledgeable reference point. I'm somebody who has experience, and I'm happy to lend it. But I'm not going to call myself a point you'd want to bring up as a, well, you know, Warp says, no. But anyways, everybody has different scale of things. But it's just like with letting kids outside to play, or letting them climb trees, or letting them ride their bicycle fast. Common sense tells you there's a risk to all of that, and with that risk, of course, cause, you know, potential issues like hurting themselves, breaking an arm, or, you know, something worse. Now, I'm one of those parents that believes in the whole concept of what doesn't kill them probably makes them a little bit stronger, at least a little bit smarter. I'd like to believe that my kids are bright enough that when they step out on that really thin, dead branch and fall out of a tree, that they're going to learn from that. Maybe not step on as thin or as dead a branch next time. The reality is, I don't know, but I'm going to try to teach them to be smart. But I do let them have pretty loose, pretty open options to play and take risks within reason. So that's kind of where I stand on things. And as you can see, like I said, I put my little girl on the back of my bike. Now, the caveat there is she has to have a helmet. Now, California has helmet laws, but even without the helmet laws, she'd have to have a helmet. You also notice that she doesn't really have much else right now. And to that point, I'm only really letting her ride with me to drop off at school because it's all a mile away. And it's a cool factor for her because her friend's here riding a motorcycle and she gets a little giddy about it, which, I mean, kids, you know? But beyond that, if my kids are actually going to go out riding with me places, especially down this windy road you see me ride every day, then there's going to be a lot more stuff that has to happen. They're going to have proper riding gear, and especially being that they're my kids, they're going to have to be at that, because there's just no reason my kids should be going out without it. It's going to cost money, and they're going to grow out of it. On the bright side, for me at least, if I get gear for the oldest, chances are the other 3 can grow through it if they so choose to ride. So I get a little more mileage out of it. So yeah, I mean, it's one part conditional in terms of what kind of riding are we doing versus what do they have on them. Again, short rides to school and back, up here in the middle of Podunk nowhere, I can handle that. It's a small, quaint road that, yeah, people will go fast up and now and then, but you don't have all the cross traffic and the pedestrians running on the street and everything else. So it's a much safer environment, and I'm okay with just having a helmet on her, riding at, you know, reasonable speeds of 30 up to school and back. But like I said, anything more extensive, if I'm going to take her down the hill through town or onto a highway, like Highway 1 or Highway 17 around here, they're going to be fully geared up. And this is partially self-serving, I won't lie. I mean, obviously my kids' safety is paramount. They are my world to me. I love them to death. But there's something more to it. It's not just, you know, it's not the same thing or the same analog to letting them ride their bicycle or letting them climb a tree and learn their own lessons. When my kids get on the back of my bike, their life is in my hands. Anything I do, anything that happens that's by my hand, they have to suffer for. And this is no different from driving in a car. I have bared witness to, sadly, an uncountable amount of people that are driving with a child seat in the back of the car, you know, with a small kid, an infant, and they're texting while they're driving. And I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says, if you're texting, you're wrong, and you're unsafe. You're distracting yourself. Period. That's all there is to it. Period. So, you're doing that willfully and with your child in the car. Again, it's no different. Yes, the car may be inherently more safe, but if you get into an accident, even if it's rear-ending somebody, you're going to feel awful because you're worried that kid just got hurt somehow. And if they did, it's your fault. And that's that extra element there. When you're making a decision whether to put a child on the back of your bike or in the back of your car, you have to understand and respect the fact that just like with any passenger, their lives now reside in your hands. You are in control. And that's a big thing. I think people kind of don't think about it sometimes. But that's a big deal. The actions of somebody sitting next to you or sitting in front of you now are the ones that decide your health and safety for that duration. And that decision is compounded when that other life is your child's. It makes you very cautious. So, parents who decide that it's not a good idea to have a child on a motorcycle, I respect their opinion on that, and that's fine. But I will remind people that you know, your opinion is your opinion, and we may not disagree, or we may not agree, but I'm not going to call you wrong, and I wish you not to pile on me about it. And that's in this example only. Trust me, there's plenty of situations I've seen where you can outright say, oh, no, that parent is definitely in the wrong. Like I said, texting while driving, among other things. But this is one of those things of, you know, you can't wrap your kid in bubble wrap and put them in an isolated, filtrated room their entire life. Yes, technically they're going to be safer, but they're not going to live their lives either. So, you know, it's not a straight black line. It's not an even division between dark and light. when it comes to everything you do for your kids, letting them go out the front door is a risk that you're taking, and it's a decision you're making. And you gotta make the call where in that big fat gray area you choose to fall. I've had a couple of good friends, even a cousin of mine, that are overprotective parents. And of course, from the child's point of view, they were horribly overbearing because they didn't let them do anything. They didn't let them experience things like I got to experience. Does that make them wrong? No. It makes them very staunch parents. But again, that was their decision, and it does shape those kids' lives. And just bear that in mind too, guys. If you're having kids, how you treat them, whether it's with kid gloves or a, go out and have a Zeal for Life kid and learn from it, that is going to affect their personality, their core personality. This is that structure that everything else is built on when they get older. So just bear that in mind. So anyways, like I said, should kids be on the back of motorcycles? There is no right answer to this per se. For me personally, yes, absolutely, with reasonable assurances. Get them the proper gear. Obviously, make sure that they adhere to all rules and laws. You can't put a bicycle helmet on them. It's not DOT approved. That's not okay. You can't have, 2 or 3 kids in the back of your bike. That's not okay. And be thoughtful and logical. Like I said, it's no different from any other passenger. Like when I have passengers back of my motorcycle, I don't dick around. Period. Even more so with a child in the back of my bike, because they're not going to be. Oh God, that's horrible. Woo! They're not going to be as confident and capable to react to situations. They're also going to be prone to overreacting. When you go into a lean, they freak out at some point and try to lean back on you. Things like that. So just bear that in mind. But anyways, like I said, in my opinion, as long as you follow the rules, as long as you make sure they're safe, and do give them every advantage you can in terms of all the gear all the time, and be sensible where you ride, I don't see an issue with that. That's just me. So there you go. That's my my take on it. I certainly do want to get your guys' input, and I'm kind of curious to kind of see people's perception when it comes to people with kids versus people without. I wonder if maybe perception of you is a little bit different. Is one way more staunch than the other? Does being a parent make you a lot more critical of kids being on the back versus not, or vice versa? I don't know. I know for me, being a parent that's had 4 kids now, I've gone from being very overprotective of my first one, and all the way down to the youngest one kind of a fend for herself. I don't just let her fend for herself, but I'm a lot more relaxed and easygoing about it. I'm not letting her be dangerous. I'm just, I'm not as worried. Even the littlest things, like when the baby does a face plant walking, you'll know they don't just immediately get up and start crying necessarily. They just kind of look up and look at you to see what the reaction is going to be and then follow suit. So, pro tip, don't be the first one to freak out, right? Alright guys, like I said, leave comments down below, let me know what you think, and of course as always, leave a like, follow me if you like, I certainly appreciate it.